Peace and love. I thought I would come on and do a Lenormand reading just to see where the energies are. I just did one for myself because I have a lot of things going on and just I was in need of a serious reading and a serious talk with my spiritual team, and I still have a ways to go, but it's always great to just sit and talk with spirit to see what those messages might be. So because I needed a reading, I feel like let's do one on this channel for my family here. I hope you all are doing well. It's a lot going on my end, just trying to remain spiritually strong. Lots of changes. I'm in a period of transitioning to a new home. Don't know where I'm going just yet. Don't really have all the steps put in place, but the packing is happening. And when I'm in a situation where I'm not really sure, of course I want to trust my guides and my team, but in reality, I'm a single woman, and so I have to make a lot of decisions, and I have to be serious about those decisions. I'm also starting at a new school, and so it's a lot happening with me. And so that's just life. All right, so I figured I'll do a reading for us just to kind of look into the energy. And so I'm going to use just the deck that I use, my deck here, and then I'll pull some clarification cards from the Species by the Thousand. You guys have seen me use this many times. And then we'll pull some, if I remember, we'll pull some clarifying cards from the Black and Gold Lenormand, Grandma Baby's Black and Gold. All right, so I'm going to get a sip here. All right, Spirit, what messages do you have for us as we're moving into the summer months? And if you come across this reading at any time, it's always timeless. What messages do you have for us, for the family here, as we all are working to grow and become better versions of ourselves? Spirit, they want us to know that we are loved, that there's love around us, okay? To love ourselves, all those things. All right, so angels, what messages do you have for us? Thank you, ancestors. Thank you, Most High. I honor you, honor my ancestors, my work. Give them all the grace. All right, Spirit, thank you. All right, so we have the Tower. We have the Whip. And we have the Book. We have the Mountain. Already, this is kind of somewhat of a heavier energy. We have the Clover in the middle, so that's beautiful. We have a star. I love to see that. We have the clouds. We have the tree. And we have the fox. On the bottom, we have the stork. So, movement, changes. The stork for me deals with massive changes, relocation, new things, new jobs, new environments, all right? Not being afraid to move into that new energy with the stork here. Travel for some. All right, so off the bat, let's give thanks for that clover that's sitting there right in the middle. All right, so Spirit is saying that to remain hopeful, that beautiful things are there for us. We saw the heart card earlier. There's love all around us, right? Not just love with, our guides, but there are loving connections around us. And so we want to give thanks for that. Even if we just have one or two, we have those. And for some of us, we might just have a pet. And so we give thanks for that connection as well. So whatever those connections are for us, Spirit is saying that love is there. Love is there. So at the top here we have the Tower, the Whip, and the Book. So the Whip here is an aggressive energy. A lot of times it could be disagreements, it could be arguments, it could be a heavier energy, things that happen repeatedly, with the whip. And if you've been here with me for a while, you've heard me read on Lenormand. You've heard that example that for the definition for me. Right beside the tower deals with institutions. So for some of us, our jobs, that's what I think of with that. Our jobs are a little bit too much, a little too heavy. All right, maybe taking on too many responsibilities at work. Spirit is saying it's time to close that chapter here with the book. Or also difficulties happening with work, maybe a lot of responsibility, lots of things being piled on repeatedly over and over again, or frustrations. Spirit is saying it's time to look into information about ways to make changes in our lives. So maybe we're looking and doing research into new positions, new places to work. This can also be any type of institution. It could be a marriage, right, with the tower. The book needs to be, the idea is that the book can be closed and the book can be open. All right? Starting a new chapter or repeating the same one over and over again. That's there with that energy. Spirit is saying if you're willing to start new and start fresh and change with the stork, there are beautiful things here with the clover in the middle. This is a rough line too. With the tower, the mountain, and the clouds, it means that not only are you overwhelmed with some of the things that could be happening in your environment, maybe your work environment, maybe, whatever that might be for you, you know what it could be. Um, there's also sadness around it, confusion because the movement isn't happening the way you want it to. The mountain for me is the idea of power and strength, of course, but things that are just over the mountain, things that we might not be able to see. So those blockages that are there, that are some that are a lot of times, to be honest with ourselves, they're there for a reason to get us to slow down, to get us to see where we are, to get us to honor that space that we're in, to acknowledge it, to grow from it, and then to move forward. It's difficult and it's rare for us to be able to move on without experiencing the growth. Okay, so many, that's not true. If you're spiritually minded, if you are working on introspection and healing in that way, then you want to grow from those difficult situations. There are plenty of people who are not interested in growth and they just move forward into the next thing and repeat those cycles over and over again. That's why we have this book here. The book can also be the idea of repeating that cycle without learning the lesson over and over. But for those of us, if we stand strong like the mountain, when we're going through these difficult times, then we're going to be able to access the information and assess the situation better. But whatever's happening here with this, whatever this means for you, whatever this institution is, all right, it's bringing confusion, it's bringing sadness, and it's things aren't necessarily clear. They're not clear. Let's see. And this reading that we're doing now is kind of my energy as well. It's what I'm experiencing to some degree. And so it's heavy right now. It's heavy right now, not only with our home life and things happening right in our, vicinity, in our neighborhoods, in our jobs, those things that are close to us, but it's happening in our country right here in the United States if you're here. But all people are experiencing these type of institutions that need to be torn down, these institutions that bring about blockages and confusion amongst the masses. Heavy energy that even if we're not out there dealing with it one on one, we're still dealing with it energetically, right? There's no escape from it. And so when people say I'm not political, I don't get into politics, I don't know how you can escape it. It's a part of the life that we have here, but we want to move above that with our spiritual lives, and that's the whole challenge of it all. That's why we're existing, to put that spiritual life above the worldly life. But it's no way to escape some of these things at times, because we have to go to work. All right, we have to deal with these institutions. So how do we deal with these institutions and still manage to keep our peace, still manage to keep our sense of self? That's what this reading is about. It's a lot going on here. A lot of sadness happening right now around us. And if you're sensitive in any way, you're going to pick up on that stuff. But beside the mountain, we have beautiful days ahead, better days ahead with the clover and with the star. The clover deals with happiness, those that burst of happiness, those moments where joy is able to shine through, where we're able to see the brightness, able to see the light, able to see our way out of certain situations. Things are moving slow around us. We're still able to have that vision for ourselves and for our success, which ultimately comes with a star. The star on the Lenormand deck is about success, recognition, all right, things turning out in a wonderful and a beautiful way. But for me, it's still the idea of being guided, allowing yourself to be guided. And when we're dealing with aggressive energy like this, when we're dealing with rigid structures, rigid institutions, it's hard to allow ourselves to be guided, because there's a certain type of energy that comes with that. It's the lightness of being. It's the energy of the clover. So it's almost like all these things that are going on around you, if you can develop, or if you can work towards being like the energy of the clover, that's kind of the answer to it, in a way. Not that we're closing our eyes to things that are happening, but we are choosing how we're going to allow that heaviness to affect us, and how we're going to allow these institutions to continue to control our thoughts, control our movements, and control our visions, you know. Sometimes it gets so rough with these institutions that it controls how you see yourself. And that's the danger when it comes, dealing with the world. Not allowing those things to happen, right? Or working to not allow those things to happen. The cloud, the tree, and the fox. Even in the difficult times, we stand firm like the tree. We're firm and powerful and moving like the mountain. But we also have to be ready to move when it's time to move. We can't just stay still. We have to be ready to transform and move into new cycles and new energy. We also need to work on caring for ourselves, nurturing the self. But also, knowing that things take time, there with the bear card. But nurturing the roots, we talk about that a lot here. Nurturing the roots and focusing on being self-reliant. Knowing that the institutions are there, the jobs are there, these things are there. But truly and honestly, we have to focus on what we can do for the self as well, beyond these things. We're living in a world where things can be snatched away. We just saw the government, something that we think is supposed to protect us, strip jobs away from American people and made them out to be criminal. To criminalize a average worker, somebody working for the country. That's where we are right now, where things are topsy-turvy. And it's becoming difficult for the average worker because it's not the time for us right now. It's never really been the time under the capitalistic system. We'll talk more about that in another reading. Maybe we'll do another political reading. But so it's never been the time for us in the capitalistic system. But how can we operate in this and maintain our lightness of being in these systems when people want to orchestrate and manipulate and make things go well for them? And this is not just in the federal government, state, local. It's not that. It could just be at your job. It could be in your marriage. Anytime you're dealing with the ideas of people are trying to manipulate the situation so that they're the victor or so that they benefit from it, and then you're sitting here with this heavy energy. Spirit is saying that we can close the cycles whenever we want to. A lot of times when we have the tower energy, it's the idea that we can't close those cycles. We can close those cycles. Maybe not without the knowledge. Maybe we need knowledge before we're able to close those cycles down officially and permanently. But Spirit is saying use this time now to gather that knowledge that you need in order to move into that period or that way of self-reliance. That's how we need it. Relying on the self, relying on the spiritual self as well, relying on the ancestral connections here. So the heart came out earlier. I'm an ancestral worker. The tree for me is family. So even no matter what we're dealing with, whatever institutions we're dealing with in this world that would seem to suppress and block us and keep our movements, keep us from moving forward. Sometimes it's lessons there for us spiritually, but sometimes it's really just the workings of the world, right? But our family is there, our spiritual family is there. The roots run deep with that. And so you need to honor and nurture those roots just by, saying thank you, giving thanks for what you do have, and giving thanks for those who've paved the way for you to have what you have. Even if it's just a small amount, we want to give thanks for it. Right? Spirit is saying that your power resides in you moving in different ways. The fox is also not a trickster energy. It's not that it can be, but it's the idea of being able to, what's the word? Resourcefulness. Being resourceful. Being able to turn nothing into something. Right? Also, the fox too, being together with a pack, being together, but being able to pull away and do what you need to do for to sustain yourself, to take care of yourself. Maybe you have to pull away. That's what this whole reading is about. Let's look at the black and gold. Spirit, what messages do you have for us as we want to honor this stork energy? We're ready to close out these negative cycles. We're ready to open up the book and read a new chapter. Okay. We're ready to see what's in store. We want to bring lightness into our life with that clover energy. We want to allow ourselves to be guided with a star. The mice, the broom, and the sun. So Spirit is saying that you have the key. You have the key to unlock anything that you want in your life, right? The self-belief is there. It needs to be there, right? This card is always beautiful to me because the key for them is found in the joy of just being with each other, playing music, delighting in life, even though the hardships are there. Because we certainly understand that our ancestors experienced hardships, but we're experiencing hardships as well, right? There are things happening in our lives that we're experiencing, but we have the ability to overcome those things if we can be light enough to do so and not allow the bricks, the heaviness of those bricks to continue to keep us weighed down. The mice, the idea of lack, loss, financial loss, not having what we would need to do what we want to do. Spirit said you have something, right? But clearing those ideas away, the idea of lack, the idea of loss. Did it happen? Is it happening? Yes. But the broom is bringing in a new energy to say that we can sweep that away and we can freshen our spaces. We can freshen our minds. We can freshen our environments, and we can allow a new energy to come in, a new vision to come in. That's the sun. That's the sun. That life force energy, clearing the way for the new life to come into. All right? Our ancestors knew something about getting that broom out now. I mean, spiritually, a broom is going to cleanse your house of any negative energy. Some of us need to do that. We need to go around our homes, and that's what I'm doing now. As I'm in the process of moving, I'm getting rid of things. Some of us need to declutter. Some of us need to take that broom and hit those corners, and we need to take that broom around the house. We need to pray. We need to open up the windows. It's warm here, so we can open up the windows. Maybe it's not warm where you are, but you can open those windows up for a few moments, and you can sweep that energy out the house. And as you're sweeping that energy out the house, you're praying to your ancestors, and you're saying, open the way up. Open the way up for me to move forward. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Most High. Thank you, angels. Thank you, Mother. Thank you, Grandmother. Grandfather. Thank you. Clearing those mice out. Nobody wants mice in their home. It's time to sweep those out. The mice in Lenormand is the idea of people stealing your resources, stealing money, stealing time, stealing energy. You can steal your own energy too. If you're worrying all the time. We got the broom here. That's a repetitive energy with the broom. So that can be positive or negative. But I'm going to look at it in a positive way, saying that we can sweep these things out of our life. Will it be gone for good? No, but then we have to do the cleansing process again. We do the cleansing process again. And it'll get easier and easier and lighter and lighter. Decisiveness. You have to make the decision to transform here. You have to make the decision to transform. The snake card for me is a card of spiritual transformation. It has other meanings. It could be good, it can be bad. All right, it could be dealing with deceitful things. It could be talking to yourself in a deceitful manner, lying to yourself and saying that you have to stay in these situations. That's the snake as well. But the snake is also spiritual transformation, being able to shed that skin. But the snake knows how to do it naturally, shed that skin and move into it. We might not have that ability just to naturally move into those um, transformations. We might not even be able to transition easily like that because this keeps us from doing it. The institutions of life, you know. All right, so transformation is here. Deciding that we want to transform here. Malachite, accessing the heart energy. Lepidolite. Lepidolite is a stone that helps with calming the mind. It helps with anxiety. We have the broom here. We have this whip here. Those are energies. We have the mice. All of that is anxious energy. We have the clouds. So we need to rest the mind in order to move the mind and the body forward. When we're able to rest the mind and see where we need to be, we're accessing that knowledge from this book. You know, where do we need to go next? What research do we need to do? What do we need to do to get out these situations? Or to figure out ways to work within these situations that will keep our spirits full, right? The heart has to be involved in any type of transformation. Malachi, we're talking about the heart chakra here with this stone. So we want to make sure that the heart is involved. We saw the heart earlier in our reading. Iolite, freedom. Freedom to speak your truth, to live your truth. All right? Iolite deals with the throat chakra. Opening up. And we've talked about this a million times here on this channel, but the idea of telling yourself first. Sometimes it's not even about the transformation begins in the self. The transformation begins with the simplest seed of just saying, I need to move. I need something different. I need a better job. I need a better situation for myself. I need to move into a better environment. All right? You're not telling Joe and Jill and all of them. You're not telling anybody. You're just telling yourself. You have to tell yourself first. And so that requires, you know, decisiveness that's there, courage, But that also requires the throat chakra. Tell yourself out loud. If you tell yourself out loud, an interesting thing happens. You're also talking to your guides. You can talk to your guides. Perseverance. I get this card all the time, and it kind of bothers me a little bit when I get it because it's just like, okay, I get it. I can, I need to persevere. I need to stay strong. I need to move forward. But sometimes in life, you want to be light. You want to get to this energy. But we realize that life is a mix of this and this. The lightness and the strength that has to come from the tiger's eye. The courage that comes from that in order to get to this lightness. But I get this all the time. I'm just like, okay, Spirit, I get it, perseverance, but what else you got for me? What about the softness? What about the lightness? What about the sweetness? I'm still, that's still one of my questions. I don't have the answers for that, my friends. I love you all. I don't have the answers for that. That's one of my questions I ask Spirit. Where's my sweetness? Let me get a sip of water. Because I don't experience it all the time, and I'm about to tear up, I do my best to treat others with sweetness. We're not going to go there. We're not going to go there. That's a whole nother reading. Forgiveness and having compassion. So, back to what I was saying, perseverance. Forgiving the situation. All right? Yes, you got to persevere. Yes, you have to climb this mountain one more time. Yes, you got to do it one more time. You got to do it. Forgiving the situation is a part of life, having compassion with yourself as you're going through these movements. Having compassion for the world as it's going through major changes and revelations. Things are happening that are beyond what we should imagine. Right? I'm going to pull a Black Goddess. And let's see. This is by Giovanni Washington. Black Goddess Within Oracle. Let's pull a card and see what the goddess has to say to us. Spirit, what message do you have for us today? I'm looking for sweetness. I don't know what to tell you. If you're here on my channel, you're looking for sweetness too. Okay, we know what it means to persevere. And if you don't, you're working on that, but we got it. Okay. What else? What else, Spirit? How can we move into this lighter energy with the clover? How can we open ourselves up to the transformation? Let's see. Thank you, angels. Tenet. All right, so let's see, 26. And bear with me with this book. Sometimes I stumble over some of the words here. All right. All right, so Tenet. Standing in front of her temple, Tenet reigns over everything as far as the eye can see. From the land of her temple to where the heavens meet the horizon. Tenet is a warrior who advocates for and protects sailors, cities, and children. Some describe her as luck, while others call her fate. No matter what you call her, Tenet is discerning with her grace and good fortune. So beware. Without proper adulation, Tenet is likely to withdraw her gifts. Tenet and her wisdom have persisted throughout centuries, surviving a stream of interloping attackers who would see her and her legacy erased. But Tenet persists. While nothing but the ruins of colonizers remain, Tenet is still recognized and worshipped not only in her temple, but also now in maritime traditions across the globe. Her symbol is a circle on top of a triangle, separated by a bar representing arms. It is often found underneath a crescent moon. Illuminating sailors' paths around the world, 10 is symbol guides the seafaring to safety, success, and liberation. If you have drawn this card, the ancestors are calling you to have courage, to be discerning about who is granted access to you, and to navigate that which you are asked to endure with patience and power. Where's that perseverance card? I don't even have it out here. I've put it away. Here it is. Endurance. Endure, right? We have the mountain here. With patience and power, freedom and success are yours to gain once you travel the stormy seas that surround you. Invitation. Never give up. Begin to create an enduring legacy by unapologetically staking claim to that which is yours. All right. So a beautiful energy. Thank you for being here with me tonight. If you like this reading, I also have I just started another channel yesterday, where I'm just going to focus on Lenormand on that because I love reading Lenormand, but I just didn't want to have only Lenormand readings on this channel. I do them from time to time. But if you like my Lenormand readings, I will focus on that exclusively on that channel. You don't have to subscribe, but just letting you know that it's there. On that channel, I will the readings are for the zodiac signs, not individually, but air, earth, fire, and what's the other one? Water. So I'll put it in the description box. It's called Lenormand Love, LUV. And if you're interested, all right, but sending you positive vibrations, and we'll keep moving forward. Spirit is asking us to do so. All right, take care.